Hello. Welcome to the new lesson. In the previous videos, we covered pointillistic and impressionistic style of coloring. Both of them give you artistic and vibrant results. Now, we are doing something completely different. We'll be focusing on coloring a page in a realistic manner. If you plan to do realistic coloring, remember that it's going to take time. You might not be satisfied with the results you get from coloring for a few hours. In fact, you might need to take a few days to finish one realistic piece with all its details. I know you are up for the challenge. By the way, it's super useful to have a reference photo to color realistically. Let's color a page from the ultimate street art coloring book. It's inspired by world-class street artist Marca's artwork. You can find a picture of the original mural, and all others, at the back of the book in the Street Artist directory. Let's start. If you're not applying the realistic technique, then the black outlines in the illustrations can give you a cartoonish effect you don't want. Real life doesn't have black outlines, right? However, outlines are essential in coloring books. Sometimes, they can get really thick, and might seem unsuitable for this coloring style. You've probably come across this problem in several coloring books. Even in our premium books, illustrated using different outline styles and gray tones. You might find it challenging to replicate the murals realistically. But did you know that you can change the color of those outlines? Yes, that's right. You can make them a completely different color, make them less prominent, or white them out completely. For this example, we'll color the outlines white. Right now, we are using white ink for that. You can also use a white gel pen, or a white marker. But ink is more suitable for layering coloring pencils over. This is a fundamental method, if you want to get a realistic looking page. The good news is that there is only one step to this approach. All you need to do is to trace the black lines of the illustration. Just go over the lines, and be careful not to cross them. We're using a thin brush for this. You can remove the lines completely, or only in some areas you want to have a lighter color. Make sure it's completely dry before starting to color inside or over the lines, as you don't want to smudge them. Now, it's time for coloring pencils. Here are a few tips for realistic rendering. Focus more on values over colors. You want to look at objects as abstract shapes. Where are your lights, and where are shadows? Look at your reference photo to get a better idea. Don't forget toning your colors as well. We'll use gray pencils for blending a lot. Right now, we are adding our first layer of a base color. A light brown coloring pencil. Remember to apply it with light pressure. You will mix many other colors on top. You already learned to make shadows in this tutorial. If you haven't yet, go check out those lessons. We are moving to the next level now. In any three-dimensional shape, you can find 5 different shading elements. They are located in different areas of the object. The area we are coloring now is called the halftone area. That's the actual color of the object, without shadows or light. Now we'll grab a darker shade of brown for the shaded areas. We'll work on this area, that is called the shadow edge. This represents the shadow that follows the shape of the object. It's on the opposite side from the lighting source, where light doesn't reach directly. We are adding more colors along the way. Yellow and red for a skin tone. Blend with a gray coloring pencil. Let's look into another important part of shading, the reflected area. This is the luminous edge along the object's rim, and it defines the volume of the object. It comes right after the darkest part of a shaded area, while adding shadows at the shadow edge. Keep in mind that you should leave the edges of the objects lighter, and not go all the way with a dark pencil. You can also use an eraser to lighten up the reflected area. We'll do that throughout the lesson. Another type of shadow we must mention is a cast shadow. This is the darkest area of the object. It's hidden beneath the object, out of reach of light. On this illustration, it can be seen beneath the nose. The fifth element of shading is called the full light. That's the area where light hits the object directly. It's the brightest part, also known as the highlight. You should add the least layers here, and use lighter shades. We're using beige and yellow colors. And we are blending with a white pencil. We are going back and coloring different areas of the face. switching between lighter and darker shades of pencils. The background should be black. We are coloring it right away, next to the face, so the highlights are more visible and pronounced. Let's take a closer look. For the hair, we'll use a little bit more pressure. We colored the darkest areas first. Now we're coloring with gray pencils and drawing the braid with the black pencil. We have the halftone area and shaded area of the hair. Let's add highlights now. A great way of making thin lines for highlights is using an electric eraser. It's perfect for hair. You can also use an eraser pencil or sharpen the regular eraser to a thin point. Let's color the rest of the background black so that we get contrast with the figure. You can color the background at the very end as well. Since the background is only one solid color, we are just going to keep layering in different directions. Just like you learned in the first lesson, remember? Let's move on to the clothing. The clothing has a different texture than the face. As explained, we are adding the halftone area first, and then adding different shadows and highlights. We are leaving out the areas for the patterns. Remember the blending techniques? Let's use baby oil to blend this large area, and then keep layering the shadows over it. Use an eraser and lighter coloring pencils for the highlights again. See how we added lighter sections right after shadows? It portrays the volume of clothing. We'll color the arm the same way we colored the face. We made a higher contrast this time, since the lighting is a lot stronger there. It will also produce a more 3D-like look. We're done coloring the whole page. Once again, we'll blend the page using baby oil. Remember to go over the lesson again if you need to. For finishing touches, we'll add highlights here and there, using an eraser and a white gel pen. Done. It took a while longer, didn't it? But it's very satisfying to see the final result, and the process is quite enjoyable too. Try it yourself, and share your results with us, by tagging Aimful Books. We'll see you in the next video, where we'll show you a completely different technique. Learn more at aimfulbooks.com.